Welcome to AdventureSphere. This channel is dedicated to missing people who are missing with a vehicle. In the process of creating this database, we are creating a volunteer sonar search and recovery dive team to search for the people featured on our channel. Our services are free of charge. We ask you to consider subscribing, watch our content, and help spread awareness of our endeavor. The National Suicide Prevention Lifeline can be reached by dialing 988 or 1-800-273-8255. Calls are free and confidential. This episode is about Leslie Ann Guthrie and her two children. Leslie was 29 and is missing from Katonah, New York. Her last date of contact was Saturday, February 5th, 1977 at 1:30 in the afternoon. She went to pick up her children, Timothy and Julie, at their father's home. Leslie drives a white 1974 Ford Maverick with a green roof. I could not find an exact example like that. There are a couple other news articles in general say it's a green car with a white roof, but those are right here now, the green and white. So it could really be either color. With it being underwater for 40 years roughly now, it's probably just the frame that's left of the car. But the New York license plate she owns is 636WNA. The Bedford Town Police Department is investigating. They can be reached at 914-241-3111. Her case number is KWBE 00360. Leslie's birth date is August 25th, 1947. At the time of this recording, she would be 75 years old today. Her maiden name is Locke, Locké. She disappeared with her two children, Timothy Jr. and Julie. She picked up her children at their father's home on, it was 7 Grandview Avenue, and they've never been seen or heard from again. I could not find a screenshot of the weather for that day, but there was a very, very bad snowstorm that weekend. There were 30 cars that went off the road. I want to say that was in nearby Connecticut. So she was dealing with the weather and two young children. Let's see here. So she separated from her husband, Timothy Sr., and was living with her mother in White Plains, New York. Her father died, I want to say it was 1962. But Leslie and Timothy Sr. had an amicable relationship. He wasn't too worried when Leslie didn't bring the children home that evening because he had assumed that she and the children spent the night in White Plains with her mother. He did report them missing, however, the next day at 6 p.m. Authorities ruled Timothy Sr. out as a suspect in their disappearances. He cooperated fully with the investigation and also spent his then life savings on private investigators and spent considerable time and money trying to locate the family himself. He's since left the state of New York, so they're no longer living at the home here on the screen right now. There's no indication that Leslie planned to walk out of her life. She hadn't taken any clothing or personal belongings with her, and she didn't withdraw any substantial sum of money from her bank account prior to her disappearance. Leslie's mother died in 1994. I couldn't find her obituary, but it was said that Leslie survived her, so she believes her daughter was still alive at that point. About the children, Timothy Guthrie Jr., his birth date is December 24th, 1973. At the time of this recording, he would be 49 years old today. Julie Guthrie's birthday is January 6th, 1971. She would be 52 years old today. Let's see here. So she was a Katonah mom. Two kids vanished 1977. Spent his life savings. Leslie's sister, Stephanie Puckhaber, we believe it's her. She had a home 2/10 of a mile away from the Grandview Avenue home where Leslie used to live. There is a pond right behind their home, and it's very possible if she went to visit her sister, she might have slid into that pond accidentally. Remember, we need to look at the topography here, as the trees are, in 1977, trees are most likely little shrubs if they were anything at all at that point. So it would be very easy to slide into various bodies of water on the map here. Let's see here. So then another relative of Leslie's gave the police a suitcase that Leslie owned, and inside the suitcase were toothbrushes with DNA of 3 people. The DNA was entered into the national database, but there's so far been no hits with a positive identification. Let's see here. There were leads that popped up as far away as Japan that have been investigated, but nothing's come up. And then in the United States, there was a cult leader down in Arizona or Utah somewhere. They thought she might have gone to stay with them. And then there was also a possible sighting of her in Florida. But we need to remember she didn't withdraw hardly any money, and she only had $10 with her for gas. And supposedly she borrowed boots that her mom gave her, and the boots were 2 sizes too small. Let's see here. Yeah, so her sister wasn't expecting her over that day, but being that she was in the area, would she have just popped over to say hi? I think it's probably 50-50 what she would have done. Cold and snowy on February 5th. And then that Interstate 684, that was built just a few years before she disappeared. And then she was supposed to pick her mom up in Armonk at 5 p.m. at IBM. I was looking at the roads here. I prefer to stay on freeways, interstates myself. I don't know what it was like back then. I thought they would have been more reliable. At least here in Minnesota, we have a ton of snow in the winters, and the snowplows favor clearing the larger roads first and then save the little surface streets that we live on for the end. So I don't know if she would have preferred to stay on the interstate or drive on a quieter road, thinking there was less traffic and less to contend with. Let's see what else I got. So Detective Haynes, he works at the Bedford Police Department. He did admit that Leslie was supposed to pick her mom up at IBM in Armonk. It was unlikely she would have taken 684. Leslie also had relatives in Ohio who she may have attempted to visit, but there's no proof. The law enforcement used drones, sonar, divers, and boats to search a lot of the water bodies around Katona and the White Plains to no avail. Yeah, and then she only had the $10 with her, so I don't think she would have tried to take off anywhere out of the state except maybe Connecticut, depending on what route she wanted to take to go to IBM. And the IBM was, I think, 10 miles from where her children's father lived, and it's adjacent pretty much to White Plains. Just trying to read through my notes for the highlights for you guys. Yeah, so Leslie picked up her kids. Then it sounds like she was supposed to pick up her mom that evening, but she never arrived. I'm not sure how her mom got home. Interstate 84 near Waterbury, Connecticut closed and had traffic backed up for a mile because there were so many accidents along it. So if there's any family members or friends that happen to see this and can shed any light, I'd really appreciate it to help us further narrow down the search areas. What was I'm assuming Leslie had a job. What was her work address? What kind of places did she like to frequent? Did she volunteer anywhere, attend church? What kind of hobbies did she have? Any social groups that she might have been a part of? Did she prefer to go out or stay home? Is she an early bird or a night owl? Did she give any possessions away in the month or two before she disappeared? And then does she prefer to drive on the main roads or back roads? Is she comfortable driving at night? They didn't have license plate readers in the 70s. Does she have any chronic health issues, diabetic, epilepsy? How is her vision? Did she have a recent concussion at all? Her blood circulation? And then what was the place of her last verified financial transaction? A date and a time might help as well. It would need to be with a checkbook or a credit or a debit card. I think that's it. So next I'm going to share some places with my blessing. I got probably 2 pages worth here, so I'm just going to go over the big ones for now. But we focus on bodies of water that are within 5 miles of their last known location, so the father's home, and then 5 miles of their destination, which we're assuming is going to be White Plains, New York. He thought, Timothy Sr. thought she might have gone there with her mom overnight, so she's in the pretty tight area, hopefully. If an area has been heavily searched, we may expand the search area, but please keep in mind that accidents tend to happen closer to home. Now, I know the law enforcement said they used sonar on it. I don't know when the sonar was done, and I'm guessing that sonar technology has come a long way just in the past few years. I would really like to get the Apex 19 by Humminbird, and then a Garmin. I think AWP said these in 86, 10 or 12 or 20. So I'll be looking at those here when I get the money saved up. Thank you all for the donations who have been sending them in so far. I really appreciate it. So my big areas right now, there's a home just off a Lakeside Drive that we think is the sisters. It's 0.2 of a mile from where Timothy Sr. lives. So I'd like to look into that pond. There's a Muscoot Reservoir. There's a Cross River and Cross Reservoir. There's a little bridge over heading out of the neighborhood on Highway 35. Byram Lake Reservoir is 5.3 miles away, but it's possible. I think it's a little bit less likely. And then I think it was the other direction has the New Croton Reservoir at 6 miles out. There's Mohansick Lake, and then there's Crom Pond, but Crom Pond doesn't have any really close roads to it, so I kind of not thinking she's going to be there. The Conseco Reservoir is very near Armonk, so it's possible she could be there. Then there's a pond at 22 and King Street on the other side of the reservoir. That could be very possible as well. It's on a bend, and she could have slid in there heading in either direction if she lost control of the car. There's the Wampus Lake and Reservoir. And then there's a pond on Whippoorwillow Lake that might be possible as well. If you'd like to help Leslie's family find them, please subscribe, give the video a thumbs up, and ring the notification bell to receive progress reports. I'm going to let the video play out here for about 10 seconds so you guys can see the rest of the search area. If I missed something, please let me know in the comment section below. Thanks for watching, stay safe, and remember that we love you.